If you're a startup and you're making these 5 mistakes, you need to change immediately because that could doom your startup. So essentially, I'll give you a short backstory about why I'm creating this video. Recently, a startup had reached out to me to help them raise $2 million at a $20 million valuation. It already raised about $500,000 in their previous round over 2 years back, and they wanted help to raise the next round, right? I was extremely optimistic going into the discussion, thinking, we'll have some good numbers, good traction. Even the industry was something which I really liked of getting into. But when I saw the numbers, I was absolutely disappointed. They hadn't even done $100,000 in revenue, and it was not that the product was a very deep tech kind of product. It was a very regular kind of product. It was a tech-enabled product. It was not a tech product as such. It was a tech-enabled product. So I was extremely disappointed with that. So I asked them, what exactly happened? Why do they not have traction? They had all these big partners in place as well, or strategically partnering with them. They were acting like a marketplace. So the partnerships for everything was in place, but yet there was no traction coming on. So when I probed them further, I found out that they did not have a lead generation system in place. They did not have a closing system in place, and essentially there was no predictable way for them to get clients. It was all operating on a standalone ad hoc basis. So that is an absolutely complete disaster way to kind of grow your business, because if you don't have a predictable lead gen system to grow your incoming leads, there's no way that you can scale your business and grow your business to the next level. So based on that, I kind of decided to create this video, right? So I'm going to be covering 5 major points which most startups need to be careful about. So essentially, the number one mistake is trying to do everything by yourself and not hiring capable leaders to replace yourself, right? A lot of times, the founders especially, they seem to have what I call the Bahubali complex, that they can do everything by themselves. They can challenge, they can face all obstacles, and just like Bahubali left that huge boulder of rock on their shoulder and kind of run through the waterfalls, right? But that's not reality. In reality, you need to have specific domain expertise people who can do what their domain expertise requires, and they've spent over 5 years, 10 years in that specific industry with that specific skill set to kind of implement that, right? It's not something that you can pick up from a YouTube video and try to do it from for yourself. For example, a tech founder cannot become a product manager of watching a few YouTube videos, or he cannot become an HR manager, or he cannot become a marketing manager or a sales leader just by watching a few YouTube videos. It requires years and years of experience, and you need to hire those capable people to kind of ensure that they fulfill their respective tasks, so that your company is moving forward together as a unit rather than a single person who's practically doing everything. So that's extremely important, number one. Number two is not showing urgency. A lot of times I kind of see a lot of startups, right? In the world of startups, right, urgency is the number one thing which you need to have in mind. You need to have a very strong bias for action, because there are essentially 5 to 10 players like yourself who are also going to be operating in the market, right? And if you are not urgent and your competitor is, they'll potentially zoom ahead of you and they take the market share, and you won't be left with much. And when that happens, you'll find out that the VCs are absolutely reluctant to invest in you, and they are more interested in investing in your competitor, because that competitor which is there, he is much more faster in taking action and faster in getting results compared to you. So that's why you need to have the urgency to take action quickly, not being decisive. This is the number one difference maker between a successful startup and an unsuccessful startup. Think of it like an example of going from point A to point B, right? As an example from Mumbai, assuming if I have to go from Mumbai to VT, CST station. So there is a specific route which I can adopt. There are multiple routes to reach there, but essentially there are those routes are kind of predefined, and you are kind of experimenting them of how to figure out, right? Each and every wrong decision that you make is going to take you detour and cause you time to come back on track. So that is why it's extremely important to make those decisions quickly and have like a proper decision making process in terms of why you're making the decision, and comparing the risk reward ratio in terms of what you're getting out of it. Because without that decision making in place, it's going to be very impossible to kind of grow, because as a startup founder, you literally have to make like hundreds of decisions on a weekly basis, because in the startup there are so many things going on. It's a very early stage, things are breaking down, etc., and you need to be constantly on your feet, and you need to build the decision making muscle. And unless you have a decision making framework in place, it's going to be extremely difficult. And it's also important to ensure that you don't get bogged down by anecdotal bad experiences, as long as you're following the decision making process. I'll make a completely separate video on that in a later chapter, but essentially What's important is to start making decisions quickly, and also have the right mentors and advisors to kind of guide you to make the right decisions, right? So that is actually the point number 4 which I want to talk about: having the right mentors, advisors on board, the right professionals on board who can guide you and course correct you from making the wrong decision. So for example, the startup which I talked about, right, they tried to do it themselves for 3 months, 6 months. They tried Facebook ads, they tried other form of ads, they tried cold email, cold LinkedIn. Nothing seemed to kind of give them result, right? So if you are not getting results by yourself, it's important that you course correct immediately and get some outside help to help you fix that problem. But the fact that they did not do that, it kind of highlights all the 4 points above, that that they are trying to do everything themselves, which is a huge mistake which they made. They did not show urgency enough to fix this problem, and if they are not showing urgency, the competitors are going ahead, and the VCs can see that you had a problem for a long time and you were incapable of fixing it. So there's no way that you're going to be raising the investment going forward. They weren't decisive in taking action of taking the call of utilizing outside help for that, and I'm assuming they did not have the right mentors and advisors in place who could kind of guide them during the process as well. So that's why this becomes extremely vital. And the final point is not making the necessary investment for growth. There's a reason why most startup companies, they are loss making, even after reaching like 500 CR of revenue, they're still loss making, because a huge chunk of the investment goes in terms of acquiring customers. In fact, in some companies it goes all the way up to 40%, but realistically 25 to 30% is like of your total revenues is a fair amount of investment required to grow your company. 25 to 30% of your revenues need to go in your marketing, in your sales, to kind of generate new revenue for your business. So I need you to think about this again and again, because this is absolutely vital. Because if you do not invest in growth, you do not invest in marketing, you do not invest in sales, there's no way the company is going to grow. And as I mentioned again, there are the competitors which is there. The one who invests the money the most in marketing is always going to win, because the one who invests the most, he's willing to put in the money, he's willing to grow faster, and he's going to essentially zoom past you in terms of getting the results. So that is why it's extremely important to invest in sales, marketing, and growth for your business, because without that, that is the entire revenue engine which keeps the entire train moving. Without that, your entire engine of your business, your entire engine of your startup, it won't work, it will completely drop down. So it's absolutely important that you ensure that you are investing in the growth of your company, because without which your startup will completely fade away. So let me know your thoughts about these 5 points. What do you think? If these 5 points are valuable, let me know if you are doing any of these mistakes in the comments as well, so we can figure out and we can discuss and how we can improve that. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to this. Click the bell icon so that you are always subscribed of the next videos that I make. Have a good day. Take care.